Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today, as the good feelings very much continue surrounding the club right now, because what we are going to do today is continue on that exciting journey, the really good path that we seem to be on and the direction that we are heading in, because in today's video, we are going to take a look ahead to the summer, and in particular, next season, because we are going to be talking about the expected arrivals of two big new signings for the club in Andreas Christensen and Frank Kessie, and the most important thing is going to be, where are they going to fit in? How are they going to slot into Xavi's plans at the club? And looking at the two of them, what can they give us ahead of next season? It is all coming up today. There's lots to discuss. So let's do it, because the big news did indeed emerge on Monday surrounding Barca's pursuit of Frank Kessie, because following several weeks there of talks between the two parties, it appears now that a final agreement has indeed been reached, after Fabrizio Romano did indeed confirm on Monday that a verbal agreement was reached, and now indeed that agreement, Fabrizio says, has been signed, and Kessie will be a new Barcelona player for the next 4 seasons, signing there until 2026 on a free transfer, let's not forget, from AC Milan. Fabrizio says that Kessie's medical has already been completed and that he will receive a net salary of 6.5 million euros per year plus variables. But remember that salaries here, when we're talking about free agents, they are always going to be that bit higher, because obviously here you can't forget that the club are going to be saving on a big transfer fee, and even of course in a worst case scenario, if this deal doesn't work out, if Kessie doesn't quite suit or fit in at Barcelona, even after a few seasons, you've still got a 30, 40, 50 million asset here that is being given to us. So that is why salaries for these free transfers can be a little bit higher. When it comes to Christensen, the 25-year-old Danish centre-back, he's actually going to turn 26 there at the start of April. His contract also, of course, expires this summer. His deal at Chelsea is coming to an end. And of course, Chelsea, right throughout this stage, have been very desperate to keep him. They wanted to keep Christensen in their defence. There's also been reported interest from Bayern Munich, but Christensen is coming to Barcelona, with Xavi actually reportedly meeting Christensen one-on-one to talk there about his vision, about the way that he sees him fitting into his team, and that was said to be the driving force behind Christensen turning down bigger offers to come to Barca. But with all of that said, where do they fit? So looking at Kessie, looking at Christensen, where exactly are they going to fit into Xavi's squad at Barcelona? I think the first thing that we simply have to say is squad depth. Because next season, let's not forget here, we are going to be wanting to challenge for everything. Xavi here has gotten started this season. He came in late, and already we're catching up with the rest. So next season, we want to have a squad there that allows us to target La Liga, Champions League, Copa del Rey, Supercopa de España, and maybe even the European Super Cup too, depending on if we can win the Europa League. And of course, in order to do that, in order to challenge on all fronts, you need a deep squad. You need players in every single area, and you need good depth to be able to compete. And these two will certainly bring that. But starting here with Andreas Christensen. He, of course, is a right-footed centre-back. Now, primarily, he's going to look to play on the right-hand side there of a centre-back pairing. But, of course, we can't also forget that at Chelsea, under Thomas Tuchel, he has often played as well in a back three. So the option there, if Xavi does want to go down that road at any given time, to go with 3 centre-backs, Christensen is comfortable in that area. And what I would also say about that is, because people often use Christensen playing in a back three against him, they say that maybe he hasn't been fully tested, he can't cope in a back two, but actually in a 3, it's usually the central player there that's protected by the other 2, by the midfield. Usually it's not the one on the right hand side, because Christensen there has often played on the right side of a back 3, and actually in that position you've got to do an awful lot. You have to then not only be good defensively, you've also got to cover in behind. When the right wing back goes forward, you're going to be pulled out into wide areas. You've got to cope with that. And I think as well, the most important thing, one of the driving forces behind Xavi bringing in Christensen is his work with the ball, and especially there in that right centre-back area where he's got to step out, he's got to move into midfield, carry the ball forward and progress with it. That is where he's really impressed Xavi. But of course, you would say that, Barca already have centre-backs. How exactly is he going to work his way into the starting lineup? Is he going to get enough game time under his belt? And of course, next season, Gerard Piqué is still going to be here, although he is going to be 35 years old. And of course, Piqué has often played this season through a number of injury problems. He's been very, very good, fair play to him, but I'm just saying that as time goes on, it would be nice there to be able to give him a bit of relief when needed. Of course, we expect Araujo to be at the club. We certainly expect him to be renewed, and I'm sure that he is going to be eventually, and he's going to be a massive part of our defence next season. And of course, you've got Eric Garcia, still just 21 years old, and he is developing, he is growing in this team. But there could be players leaving. You're looking here at Christensen arriving into that defence. Are we going to see Longley continuing at the club next season? Honestly, I would say right now, I don't think so, because he's had a real lack of game time under Xavi. It is very, very clear there that if he wants to progress in his career, it's going to be outside of Barca. There's been plenty of links away for Oscar Mingueza and, of course, Samuel Umtiti. Certainly there as well. We are going to be open to offers once again for him this coming summer. So you can see there, with a number of centre-backs future in doubt, where Christensen would add some depth. And I do think it is going to be very, very interesting indeed to see what sort of combinations we're seeing at centre-back next season and the kind of quality that we will have at our disposal, because you obviously got Piqué, you've got Araujo. They've been so solid as a partnership this season. Very recently, we've seen Eric Garcia come in and do really, really well as well. So you add Christensen to that, whether it's combining there with Piqué, helping him there understand and learn about playing at Barca. Could he partner with Araujo? And of course, looking to the future too. You've got Araujo, 23, Garcia, 21, Christensen now entering that prime stage of his career. Those are very, very promising centre-back options, which is an area of the field where we have been lacking in the past. And indeed, moving into midfield, when we're talking about Frank Kessie, the first thing that I would say about him is, when you're looking at our midfield options, when you're looking at our team right now, I honestly don't believe that we have anybody quite like him. I think he is a very unique kind of player, and he will certainly add a different dimension in our squad. He's very strong, he's athletic, he can cover space really well, he's so impressive in those individual duels in midfield, and I think he really will add some quality in that area. But again, you're looking at our midfield. We've got Sergio Busquets, who of course is still going to be in the team next season. You've got Frankie de Jong, he's not going anywhere. He confirmed that very recently. You've got Pedri. Again, we fully expect Xavi to renew his contract at the club. And of course, you add as well to that midfield Nico Gonzalez, and that really does complete a wealth of options there, a wealth of quality in that midfield area. But again, there are players whose futures are in doubt. Certainly there you're looking at Ricky Puig. Is this going to be the summer where he does try something new, where he goes away and tries to get some game time more regularly at another club? That is the feeling within the club right now. And then there's other players too, like Sergio Roberto, for example, who has played in midfield in the past. Barca have no intention right now of renewing his contract. And of course, Coutinho, who is going to make a permanent move to a Premier League club for sure. So you do have players going out in that midfield. And I think Kessie, first of all, could be used there in sort of general rotation if a player in that midfield gets a bit tired, particularly in that interior area, whether it's de Jong, whether it's Pedri, whether it's Xavi. He could come in there and play a role in midfield when needed. What I do have to say though about Kessie, and I think some of the misconceptions that we are seeing right now, I honestly don't think we're going to see him in a single pivot. A lot of people are saying, will he come in and replace Sergio Busquets? I really don't see him as that kind of player, as the lone defensive midfielder in this Barcelona team. But the question that I would add is Xavi here looking for options so that he could actually play with two? Because obviously, as time goes on, as Busquets progresses in his years, we do have to think about that replacement. And could the argument be made that actually it's going to be difficult to replace Busquets with one player? Maybe it might have to be with two, at least for now, because we know that de Jong is much more comfortable, not as that lone defensive midfielder, but playing as a two. So could you have there de Jong and Kessie? Because suddenly then, they're much more comfortable together. They can both be much more natural in that area, as we've seen them at Ajax with de Jong, as we've seen Kessie at AC Milan. That would be a very, very interesting combination to keep an eye on. And that is also their role with the two in midfield dropping in together. I do wonder how Nico would fit in as well in that kind of position, is something to bear in mind. And I do think Kessie, if he's going to play in midfield for Barca, he's very, very good defensively and aware in that position, because certainly at AC Milan, I've watched him very recently, recently, and you've got Theo Hernandez on that left-hand side, and he's constantly bombing on, he's constantly going forward, he's a really attack-minded fullback and a very, very good one at that. And then you think about Barca, you've got Jordi Alba, who is exactly the same, who's always going to be down that left, and Kessie does a really good job, I feel, of just filling in, knowing where to be and covering that space and doing very, very well defensively. So Xavi will certainly look to utilise that kind of option when needed. But I think the main point, guys, and I think the really important point here that we have to drive home and that we have to sort of understand when it comes to these two free signings is that above all else, whatever you want to say about their ability, about what they can add, about what they can do, the number one thing we got to remember, Xavi here is behind their signings. He has approved both of these players. He's spoken to both of them apparently. He's happy to have them in his team. He really sees how they can be of use. And honestly, if he has sanctioned that, if he's behind that, then I back him. Because from what he's done at the club so far, with the signings that he's made, the way that he's actually made them a part of their team, and how he's integrated them all, quite clearly, he knows what he's doing. And for that reason alone, if Xavi wants Andreas Christensen, which he does, if he wants Frank Kessie in his team, in his midfield, which he does, then I will back him all the way. These are two players that can add quality, that can add depth, and also at very, very good ages too, entering here, I would say, the primes of their career, and of course, both with no transfer fee. It's very, very nearly risk-free. So please, guys, do leave your thoughts in the comments down below when it comes to these exciting new signings that are going to be coming to Barca very, very soon indeed. But of course, right now, we are feeling very, very good, not only looking to the future, but right here in the present too. I hope you guys are still enjoying the Classico win, certainly now relaxing and soaking up this feeling in the international break. Of course, plenty more videos will be coming your way soon. Thank you indeed, guys, for coming back, checking out the videos, and for getting involved. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you soon. But until next time, as always, guys, Visca El Barça!